Let's just take a look at Tripura. The fact that the left and the Congress have sort of come together, just yet another story of how, you know, different states and you find alliance partners where it suits you. Yeah. Do you see this as being a substantive formation? The left has been dominant in Tripura in the past and they got completely overwhelmed last time around. But what do you make of this alliance, the Congress and the left?
Well, you know, we thought it was going to be an exciting close finish, but
you don't see that happening in Tripura?
Well, apparently the exit polls have predicted a fairly clear victory for the BJP. And, you know, except for the tribal areas where the BJP's old alliance with the, you know, the old sort of tribal party is completely sort of unraveled because, you know, that whole tribal formation has collapsed. You know, in the other parts of Tripura, it seems that the BJP is doing well. And, you know, my personal feeling is that the left has shown itself, you know, has shown a weakness by allying with its traditional opponent in you know, Tripura. And I think that makes people not take them very seriously because they're not putting up a fight. They're, you know, kind of, you know, hanging on to to remnants of the Congress in the hope of fighting the BJP. I think that doesn't give people very much confidence. And I think that, you know, people in Tripura would be ready to try the BJP for one more time. You know, because, I mean, they have seen some kind of development, you know, in Tripura over the last 5 years. So I think that for the left, and they did this in Bengal also, you know, it didn't work actually. Yeah. The left and Congress combined did not work.
No, not at all. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, and also, you'll recall, the left and the Congress have had a very violent, bloody history in Tripura.
Yes.
And the Bharatiya Janata Party's vote bank, which was less than 1.5%, you know, in 2013, rose to more than 44%, riding on the Congress voter, which tried and tried and tried to dislodge the left for 25 years, could not do it. They did not see that hunger in their leaders, and they completely switched to the Bharatiya Janata Party. That also makes it very difficult, and when both these parties come together, it's those memories for the Congress voter which doesn't want to go back to the Congress party, leaving the BJP in that situation where...
And I think for the left voter also, because this is what we saw in Bengal. You know, when the Congress and the left combined to fight Mamata Banerjee, you know, the left voter just crossed over to the BJP.
Okay, it's 8 a.m. now, it's 8:01 and there's only one lead, that's in Nagaland, that's expected, that's that one seat which the BJP already has. The Nagaland situation is quite fascinating, isn't it? The fact that in the assembly there was no opposition, it was sort of all united towards, but the elections it's not quite that. So how do you actually see that? On the one hand, in the state assembly there was no opposition whatsoever, they were all sort of working to one cause. It would have been a fairly boring assembly, I would assume. Whereas now, of course, the elections, it's somewhat different.
I mean, it's barely different if you look at the exit polls. I think, you know, with MLAs crossing over to the NDTV, I think right now we're not predicting a particularly competitive election, nor the exit polls. We'll have to see what the final results are, but I think that what the...
Of the three states, you would say that Nagaland is the cleanest sweep for the existing alliance.
Looks to be. Looks to be. Unless there's something that every single person who went on the ground and the exit polls have missed, it looks to be a particularly clean sweep.
You know, also, but in a way, you know, Vishnu, and you know, bear me out, the opposition more or less has given up as far as Nagaland is concerned. None of the opposition parties, whether it is the Naga People's Front or the Congress, they are not even fighting 60 seats. They could not even get candidates to fight 60 seats. All of them about 22, 23 seats. So in that scenario, you've already given, if you're not even fighting 50% of the seat, what is the hope of conversion and being in a position where you can actually challenge the ruling alliance?
I'm just curious to know why the entire Naga peace process, the entire issue of Nagalim and the entire issue of Naga identity, which is scored to people in different parts of the state, why is that not a central theme in the elections which results in divergent voices?
I mean, I think that all across the north,
all the promises haven't been guaranteed by any means.
I think that's correct, but I think when you know, when I was on the show last for the exit polls, Professor Sanjeev Barua was here. So I think one thing that he emphasizes that first of all, the Northeast is very complicated, right? You have many cross currents.
Yeah.
But the second thing, which we've already said today, a lot of the elections are personality driven, are locally driven. So if you have a set of local leaders who can really bring in the vote, sometimes that dampens any of these kinds of larger issues holding sway over the electorate. I suspect that's kind of the dynamic that we're seeing with the NDPP.
So Vishnu, as you said, it must have been a boring assembly. It looks like it has been in comparison to the other two states, a boring election in that sense as well, as far as Nagaland is concerned. So, but it will be, I mean, all political parties, be it the Congress, of course, the TMC, the BJP and their allies as well. The focus would be, of course, on the battle of Tripura and Meghalaya, because that in more than one ways will give us some sense, or will give us some indication, small pointers to talk about going forward as well, whether it is opposition unity or the way the Bharatiya Janata Party, of course, will then use this in their narrative ahead of 2024. Ratnadeep, our colleague, is joining us. Let's very quickly go for a live update. Election, Ratnadeep, the counting process has begun. I believe the postal votes first. What's happening? It must be a lot of buzz around you right now.
That's right. In fact, behind me is Umakant Academy, which is Tripura's oldest school, and this is also the biggest counting center among the 21 counting centers in the state. Here, already postal ballots for 14 constituencies are now being counted. The first round of counting are the postal ballots, and after that the EVMs would be opened up, and there is already a lot of buzz behind me. You can see unprecedented security arrangements. In fact, in Tripura, you have the central forces who are basically manning the counting centers as well as the main roads leading to the counting centers. And around this place where the counting is taking place, on all the four sides, party supporters of different parties have been barricaded. They have not been allowed to cross a certain area, and they have all the parties. So it was a multi-cornered election. So in this area, the BJP has been kept in one side, the left and the Congress has been kept in one side, Tripura Motha party has been kept in one side. This is to ensure that there is no violence as the day progresses. So clearly the focus for Election Commission in Tripura is to reduce the chances of violence. In fact, Section 144 remains imposed around the counting centers, each one of them, and only media is allowed. Talking about the interesting politics that we saw in the elections, this is for the first time that Tripura saw at least a tri-corner fight, if we can put it that way, with BJP and its ally IPFT, the Congress left alliance, and the newly formed Tripura Motha party. Now, if you go by the exit polls, then the exit polls are suggesting a return of the BJP, although their numbers might actually come down. But when we came here yesterday, we spoke to the opposition rank and file. They are saying that we are not taking the exit poll. We are confident that
I think
we will be able to bring about the change. And
post 8 a.m. all the analysis of the exit poll should be left behind, because now in just a short while from now we'll start getting the real results. There is no point talking about the exit polls. They have. Every time the exit poll comes out, there is, of course, they put everything on stake. We'll have to wait and see how accurate they are. But now, of course, it is on the real results. Vishnu,
let's also introduce our panelists who've come in and joined us. Matthew Anthony of the Congress Party, and we're also joined by Karma Paljor as well. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. We'll be joined by other guests in a short while from now. Patricia Mukim will be joining us, but let's go straight across to NDTV's Vedant, who joins us at this stage. Vedant, thanks very much. Give us an idea of the buzz around you at that polling station where you're at.
Well, Vishnu, counting has begun, and as you rightly mentioned, postal ballots will be counted first. And quick updates, so what I'm being told that the Nagaland in charge for the BJP, Nalin Kohli, will be in Dimapur in just a short while from now, and the BJP will be convening a meeting of sorts of all tall leaders here in Nagaland. And because remember, the alliance between the NDPP and the BJP is very important, so the BJP will be conducting its internal meeting before they actually before the trends actually start coming in. I'm leaving the analysis to the studio,
but let
me just quickly address two important points.
What we're actually seeing right now is the first lead. So I think breaking news that the process has started. I should be over in another 4 hours or so. So Tripura, Ankit, the BJP up 1 is just a lead, not a result. That leads become results, well, that'll take some time.
Absolutely. So one lead coming in favor of the BJP. Now, okay, we've just been told it's 2 now, but let's remember, it's just the postal ballot which has started, and all across, especially in the northeastern state, the number of voters are less. So significantly, the postal ballot is also in that proportion quite less. So don't hold on to these leads as consolidating. It will take some time, but 3 leads now for the BJP.
And that's up 1.
They're up 1, and there is already a -1.
We're only talking about Tripura right now.
Yeah.
Nagaland, it's already there in an uncontested
Nagaland,
seat.
there is
so that's
one
that
seat already with
BJP
them.
had started their innings before the voting actually took place over there.
Very interesting, Vishnu. If you're seeing these 3 leads, 2 of them already of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which they would have won last time. 1 seems to be coming from the quota of the Congress and the left. So they are up 1 already in that sense. Taken 1 seat away from the Congress and the left. And this is going to be quite interesting as the day progresses. Matthew Anthony, if I can very quickly just get your reaction on this. The Congress Party, which was a dominant force, at least the main opposition to the left till 2018. Now it seems you've already given up your position when you went into this alliance. Only 13 seats is what the Congress is fighting. And at this moment, the initial leads, though very early, you can't make any assumptions based on this, seems to be going towards the Bharatiya Janata Party and 1 from the kitty of the Congress and the left.
Good morning. Thank you, Adit. So the first thing is, I don't want to comment on the numbers which is coming in right now because the election results have been determined by the voters. So let's wait till the end before we make a comment on that one. With respect to the alliance with the left, we have fought left in Tripura, Bengal, as well as in Kerala. We are still fighting them. But nationally, we have had alliances with the left also. So the political ideology of the left is left extreme, and we have a left center or center right of the Congress political ideology. Sometimes we find a solution to fight a common enemy at some point of time in the political ideology battle. So that's what has happened in Tripura, because we found a need, a political need to have an alliance, and that's why we forged into an alliance there. So let us see how the results come in the.
May I?
At this
Yeah,
stage,
that's what I'm saying. Just for the initial interest of our viewers and keep them engaged in this entire process. Right now, if you go by it,
6-3.
It still looks like a close battle. I mean, it's 6-3.
It's relatively close.
So at least in the postal ballot, the initial trends look like it could be a very, very close kind of a fight, 6-3. And let me again tell you that this is just the very beginning. It will change completely different, in the next 2 hours or so. But very, very interesting these trends are. Karma, what would you? In fact, Meghalaya, we are also getting 2 leads, NPP, and Conrad Sangma was also hoping that this time it will be, for the first time in 50 years almost, a clean sweep, that he's hoping that he would not need any political party support. But at this moment, so we have Meghalaya 2 out of the 59 seats that went to polls, because 1 seat
it's quite
the poll
close
has
in Tripura, Ankit. It's 6-4 at this stage. And
yeah.
Karma, would you like to just jump in? And yes, this will change, and but it's not that many seats. It's not a very big state.
Yeah.
So your initial thoughts, Karma Paljor, as somebody who's a senior editor over there, the editor-in-chief of East Mojo, who's been covering the elections extensively. Let's look at 12 leads right now in Tripura of 60. It's 7-5, 7 to the BJP, and Congress and left, that alliance 5. So the BJP and its ally 7-5. So Karma, your initial thoughts on Tripura?
So, as far as Tripura is concerned, if you had looked at immediately after the chief minister was changed, that decision had hit the party.
Yeah.
We all thought that, yes, sign of weakness, there is rumble in the ranks, issues will be there. But this chief minister came and did little things. One, of course, he checked violence. So violence came down drastically in Tripura. So that has been a big plus for Dr. Manik Saha. And on the ground, I went around talking to people, the urban voters. If you look at the towns and the cities and all, most of them were in favor of BJP. So that kind of gave an indication that perhaps it will not be a hung house. and the BJP will come in back to power. I think that's what the exit polls also led. We can't talk about that. Now, as far as the left and the Congress is concerned, the choice of leadership was very important. So if you look at Jitendra Chaudhary, leading the battle, I spoke to him. He looked like a leader which was acceptable by all. So there is leadership in that alliance behind Jitendra Chaudhary, who's also acceptable to the tribals.
Absolutely.
Of course, everybody's been saying that, Maharaj Pradyot Manikya will play a key role. And again, I'll stick out my head and say that he'll play a key role not because of a political party or anything like that. It's because of a tribal ideology, our ideology, that we'll ally, that we are loyal to the king. That is what you saw on the ground. People totally loyal and awed, by
Kanwar, just be with us for half a second. We've got Saira Shah Halim, the leader of the CPM, with us. Saira, again, many caveats. These are initial leads. But if you look at Tripura, the Congress and the left are actually up 1 at 6 from last time around. But just in the last 2 or 3 minutes, the BJP alliance has jumped up, and they're still down 1, but they've still jumped up to 13. So, are you encouraged by these initial trends?
See, these are initial trends, and we are positive that the left and the Congress will make make a good finish. So let's see what happens, because right now the tally looks positive. Will you finish
the halfway mark is the question, or a good finish would be?
Yes.
Okay, you're still confident.
Definitely. So it's just early in the morning, and the counting is still going on. Because people are expecting BJP to win, because earlier in 2018 it had bagged 36 seats. And right now it is predicted that the left and the Congress will definitely get a lot of seats, but let the day unfold. I think it's going to be an interesting election.
Sarah,
election verdict.
If you allow me, may I quickly ask you something? Apart in this entire Northeast election of all the 3 states, if I may say, for the left, this is actually a battle of existence that is taking place. Among all the political parties, the stakes for the left parties are actually higher than anybody else. Congress still has other states where they can hope and gain some traction. For the left, after losing West Bengal, being only in power in Kerala, if the results do not come as the way you are predicting them to be, it will be an existential crisis as far as the left parties are concerned.
I agree with you, because definitely, it's an important election. And Tripura was a very strong left foothold, a couple of years ago, till BJP wrestled it out of power. So definitely this will be quite a decisive election, and all eyes are on Tripura right now, because we are expecting the left to make a resounding comeback. But like again I said, that it's still very early in the day.
Sure.
And we are hopeful, and let's see what the outcome will be.
Ankit, what's interesting, Tripura 0 at the moment.
Yeah, but also look at the Meghalaya. Nine leads have come in.
Trinamool is
4
up
right
4.
now. Yeah.
Trinamool is up 4 in Meghalaya.
NPP 3,
BJP
BJP 1.
is up 1. And the Congress is down 4.
I mean, I'm not surprised with that Congress, because largely...
But is the Trinamool up in Meghalaya by 4?
It's at the cost of the Congress party.
Nilanjan, how would you see that?
I mean, we'll have to see. It's very, very early voting, and I think
5. No, it's still 4. NPP at 5. So the Trinamool of...
You can see how quickly it's jumping right now.
But it is interesting. I mean, as an early lead right now, and assuming these leads translate into results, the Trinamool, it's made a start.
See, historically, we've had hung parliaments in the state, right? It's been quite a kitchery. In fact, this time the exit polls were predicting NPP to be either close to a single party majority or a little bit less, which was unusual. So I think the big thing I'm looking for, in fact, this was the only surprising exit poll in some sense, right? The fact that there would be a single party near the majority mark. Only thing I'm looking for is whether the exit polls were correct in that sense, or are we getting to a scenario that we've typically seen in the state, which is much more of a kitchery, and there'll be a lot of post-election bargaining across parties to form government.
It's pointing to a bit of a kitchery right now.
Yeah, and let me just take you back to Tripura.
Tripura's 1 now.
Yeah, and Mr. Deka, See, because also, Vishnu, these are small assemblies.
Yes.
31 is all you need to form the government. At this moment, despite being
in
-2, the Bharatiya Janata Party in Tripura, the alliance is running away. It's at 17 leads.
Yeah, it's just that's so important, because just in the last 5 minutes or so, there's been this huge jump.
So in the postal ballot, at least, the BJP seems to have an advantage. Same you are seeing in Nagaland as well. 10 to the BJP NDTV alliance. The Congress is yet to get any sort of lead.
But Ankit, I've got to interrupt you over there. Yeah. If you ask me, the real story right now is developing in Meghalaya.
That's true.
Where the Trinamool Congress is up 5 from last time. It's just too short in terms of leads from the NPP.
Yeah.
And it's higher than the BJP at this stage. It's a trend, Aarti, and so we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. But the fact of the matter is, they are more than sort of opening their innings. They're going to be, it's important for the Trinamool, isn't it, to establish themselves outside Bengal in a big way. Perhaps this may be the place where they do it.
Well, as you know, the Trinamool is sort of virtually taken over the Congress. Most of the Congress guys have crossed over to the Trinamool.
Congress is down 7.
So the Trinamool is riding on the back of the Congress's base. And yes, I mean, if they do actually manage to keep this up, it'll be a huge breakthrough for Trinamool, that they've expanded their footprint beyond Bengal, even if it's a small state, but it's that they've expanded their footprint beyond Bengal.
They also have a local face.
Yes.
This has been a challenge for regional parties to expand out, right? Is to develop a second phase to, let's say, Mamta, right? And this is a state in which they've been able to do that because of the defections from Congress and Mukul Sangma, right? And so the question for the TMC is, does this become a prototype to expand for it across the east and the north?
Meanwhile, Ankit, look at Tripura, the BJP running away.
Running away, exactly. So, at this moment, but
I think they're beyond postal ballots.
No, it will still be, Vishnu. I think till 8:30 or so, the postal ballots will be largely the leads, and then we'll start getting in trends from the EVMs. But it's very interesting. People do, if you understand who votes actually in these postal ballots, it's largely the government servants and so on and so forth. It does give you an indication of the kind of issues that people have in fact imbibed during the political campaign or during the election campaign. But Kartikeya Batra, just looking at the scenario right now, and as we have been saying, this may absolutely change in the next couple of hours. The BJP running away as far as Tripura is concerned, 23, though they are down 4. In Meghalaya, NPP leading with 7, TMC opening their account. Just to look at, and like you were saying, they're isolated elections, but for a party like the Trinamool Congress, which is hoping to play some sort of a significant role in 2024, they would be looking at these with a lot of enthusiasm. Take a look at the whole question of who leads the opposition alliance. Arvind Kejriwal, with 2 states and presence in 2 others, is already staking claim. For Mamata Banerjee, that is why it becomes very, very important to have a good opening account in Meghalaya.
Ankit, Vishnu, I was actually raising my hand when you were discussing Meghalaya because the devil is in the detail. I'm looking at the map on NDTV.com, which is, by the way, fantastic in terms of the graphics. Who is leading from the Trinamool Congress? So you have to understand that it is a Garo Hills fight between the Trinamool Congress and the NPP, the 2 Sangma families, right?
Yeah.
Between them, I think it's more than 1.5 dozen candidates are from these families. I think that's 10 to 15 candidates for sure. So who's leading right now in Trinamool? If you just go through Vinarsan Sangma, Mukul Sangma himself. There's a bunch of Sangmas who are leading from the Trinamool, from the Garo Hills, right?
Yes.
So the Khasi and the Jaintia Hills are the areas where the Congress would expect to do well, because Vincent Pala, their MP, comes from that area. That's the area where the UDP and the HSUDP would expect to do better. So these are very early trends. I might also add, Vishnu and Ankit, that as you rightly said, the Trinamool Congress is basically Congress.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, add up the Congress and the TMC, that's basically the Congress of 2018.
No, and Kartik, if you just look at if you just look to building to that, the Congress itself is down 7 and the Trinamool is up 6. Right? I mean, all 6 leads over there. So there's been, it's just it's a zero-sum game. It's just been,
it will also tell you a lot. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Ankit, just to add to Tripura also.
Yeah.
So again, where are these leads coming from? You rightly mentioned that postal ballots come from areas where, say, government servants were not there, who they are the ones who vote. Right now, most of the leads, again, as the map is showing you, are coming from the northern part of the state.
Yes, yes.
A lot of the tribal seats are yet to report the first lead, which is probably why the Tripura Mota is on 0 as of now.
Also,
I might also add,
the left has high hopes in the southern part of Tripura. That is their stronghold.
Which is the tribal belt.
Absolutely.
As well. So also on the exit poll front, folks, it is always difficult for exit polls to predict seats when a new entrant enters the picture. That happened in Delhi in 2013. If you ask C-Voter or Axis, they will also tell you that because with a new entrant, you don't know the pre-existing trends on voters. You can project the vote shares with precision, but seat share projections are much more difficult.
Absolutely.
Okay, Karthik, just 1 second. Karthik, half a second. Let's just introduce our other panelists as well. Patricia Mukim, editor of Shillong Times, joins us as well. Patricia, let's talk about Meghalaya and Tripura first. The BJP and its ally running away in Tripura. These may be postal ballots so far, but there should be other ballots also in a short while. They're down 4, but at 26 at this stage, even if the large bulk of these do remain, these leads translate into results, then at 27 is what they are right now. It's quite clear who's going to form the government, number one. Number two, the interesting story, while the NPP in Meghalaya is ahead, it's the Trinamool Congress at 6, which has really made their mark. So could you comment first, Tripura and then Meghalaya?
Tripura, I do not have much handle on, and I will not want to comment on Tripura because I haven't visited that state as much as I've done Nagaland and Meghalaya. So in Meghalaya, I don't think I would like to place too much score on the exit polls. I don't think that the NPP will do so well now after the polls. Earlier on, we thought that they might just come back with the BJP, but at the moment, even the BJP seems to be having second thoughts about teaming up with the NPP. So, in fact, one of the BJP leaders, a sure shot winner, he has said that he doesn't mind teaming up even with the TMC and others, barring NPP. So it looks like it's anybody's game at this point.
Okay, anybody's game at this point. Go ahead.
Vishnu, there is one very interesting thing, and this is what Patricia, in fact, made, what we were speaking about the last when she was there, when we were discussing the exit polls. It will be very, very interesting, like Karthike was also pointing out. In the Bengali-speaking seats, where there is a larger Bengali-speaking population as far as Meghalaya is concerned, how does the TMC do there? That will also be very, very interesting to watch, because Patricia, last time when we spoke, you said that the Bengali-speaking population in Meghalaya doesn't seem to be the population that supports the TMC in that way. They are happy with the TMC in West Bengal. They do not see them as possibly the party to lead when it comes to Meghalaya.
Yeah, see, the non-tribal population in Meghalaya is very keen on having a strong party, a strong central party that can defend them, because they're so insecure. They've been insecure since 1979, and no single party has promised them a secure life, a secure livelihood. And they believe that the TMC too will not be able to do that. So they're rooting for the BJP.
Patricia, half a second. Matthew, Anthony of the Congress wants to come in. I know you have a point to make, but I just want to talk a little bit about Meghalaya with you, Matthew. It just seems that the votes or the seat share of the Congress has gone and flipped to the Trinamool Congress. The Congress at 4 in terms of leads is down 9. The Trinamool at 6 is up 6. So, I mean, this is what was widely expected in a sense. But, it's a state where you've done very well in the past. Again, is this what you're seeing? We've seen it in Delhi also, where so many Congress votes and voters changed loyalties. In the case of Delhi, to the Aam Aadmi Party. Over here, it appears to be going to the Trinamool Congress.
Vishnu, the fact is that the votes is coming from the Garo Hills to a large extent right now. That's why we are seeing the Trinamool making some sort of a beginning. At the same time, it's not Trinamool. It is one of our leaders, who have moved, with a lot of people from our party to that side.
Yes.
So it is not Trinamool which is making it. It is in a state like Meghalaya. It is the people. It is a people who makes a difference to a large extent.
Yeah, but you cannot disassociate the people with the party. I mean, they've changed their loyalties, and obviously it's doing well for the Trinamool.
See, it is too early to kind of, come to a conclusion that Trinamool is doing.
It's not a conclusion, but...
these are early numbers right now. Let us see by around 12:30 and how these numbers are materializing to a majority.
Vishnu, can I also put out a sympathetic view as far as the Congress party is concerned? Your party, entire party...
Allow me to complete that.
You just hear my point, and then, of course, you can add to it.
Sure.
The entire party completely... The Congress was the single largest party in the last election, 21 seats. Almost 14 of them went to the TMC, others withered away to other political parties. On 60 seats, Congress more or less is giving candidates which are fighting the election for the first time.
Yeah.
It has been a huge task as far as the Congress party is concerned. It's almost rebuilding a party from scratch and then trying to hope that you will be able to attract the voters who are already confused with the TMC because they saw the same faces in the Congress party and are now seeing them carrying a different flag. In that sense, what would be your realistic expectations as far as Meghalaya is concerned?
See, we expect a hung assembly in Meghalaya. We don't see any clear majority happening to any particular party at this point of time. And the exit polls, as like Kong Patricia said, it is too, it can be too different from the reality because the rural areas, we don't know how exactly they are going to vote and they don't disclose information. And the reach of the exit polls to those rural areas, because I've traveled crisscross across the state. Yeah. In the last 1.5 months, so we don't...
but Matthew, just half a second. I think the big breaking story now is Nagaland.
In postal ballots, the BJP and NDTV has formed the government.
32 is where they are right now. The magic mark in all these states is 31.
They are in majority.
Would you like to, Manesh, make a point on that? That, this is a state where there wasn't really much opposition. Yeah. The exit polls predicted it, BJP all the way.
Yeah. And there is still no opposition right now.
That seems to be what's going to happen quite clearly. There's still no opposition.
Okay, exactly.
NPF at 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, exactly.
Your thoughts about Nagaland first.
Yes, exactly. It's very early indicative that we have seen this BJP plus NDTV 32, and it was very much expected from the last election as well as these elections. Yeah. So when we started our campaign, we were very much sure that people of Nagaland will bring back BJP plus NDTV into the power. The work of development have been done by the party, by the state government, is the result of these numbers that we are now seeing in the television. Yes.
So at least a happy beginning, Mr. Deka. You can at least be, smile and possibly the laddus will start coming out in Nagaland.
The seat sharing is what, 20-40, right?
20-40, yes.
Exactly. So BJP 20, the NDTV is at 40. And you're going to stick obviously to that because the BJP's performance has been quite strong as well in the state individually.
Yes.
And the other group was, of course, the NPF. Now, a large number of NPF leaders crossed over to the NDTV earlier on. They became, much weaker as a result of that.
Yeah.
The Congress contested 23 seats in Nagaland. Where are the Congress? It's 0 at the moment. Yeah. 34. So the BJP and the NDTV, that coalition, that alliance has run away, it seems, with these elections.
And if we say NPF is already in NDA in the here.
That's right. Yes, they are part of the NDA.
Yes,
so you would have to add those. So at 35 of 60,
yes,
the BJP and NDTV are at 33. The NPF at 2. Aarti, your thoughts?
I think unexpected lines in Nagaland. But
the Congress hasn't opened its account.
Yeah, I think these elections, all three of them. If at all you can extrapolate for the 2024 national polls, if at all, I think they just show how weak the Congress has become. And it continues to be weak. Despite a Padyatra and everything, there is a serious organizational problem in the Congress.
You're talking about it over, and just to give you a sense.
These election results are just, re-emphasizing that.
There are a whopping 23 results of seats in Nagaland which are expected, despite which the BJP and the NDTV have leads of 34. So to think that 23 in a small state is still awaited, something might happen, but It just seems, you know, I mean, it's no competition.
No, and I think the Congress needs to, you know, actually pull, I mean, it needs to look very seriously at what is going wrong with it, if it at all wants to make a splash
and, you know,
in 2024.
We saw that in the Bharat Jodo Yatra when it began, when the Gujarat election was on, the questions of you want to do a Yatra, try and get some political mileage out of it. You are not an NGO, you did not go to Gujarat. Rahul Gandhi, post the Yatra, it was expected that, you know, it has rejuvenated the cadre. You would see that hunger at least to go on to the ground. We didn't see a single rally in Tripura, a single rally in Nagaland, and just Rahul Gandhi going once. And I'm not putting it on him, but the fact remains for the Congress leadership as well. It just didn't seem that they are in the fight, that they had the hunger like the BJP has shown as far as these states are concerned.
And even if Rahul Gandhi doesn't address a rally, you know, we didn't see him doing anything behind the scenes, you know, calling meetings, you know, trying to strategize, trying to, you know, look for candidates. I mean, his entire party crosses over to the TMC, you know, in Meghalaya.
And, the Congress was the largest single party.
He doesn't do anything about it.
Nilanjan, it had 21 of 60 seats in 2018. They didn't form the government. But the NPP came to power with the BJP, but they were still the single largest party. That's and compared to 21, if you look in 2018, if you look at them now, they're down 12 to just 7. Again, just leads, but...
Vishnu, one important thing, even in Tripura, if you go by these,
the magic mark.
They are at the magic number. They are BJP alliance is at 31. And while you're talking about Meghalaya, look at NPP 20 at this moment, BJP 7. So they are the party which is 27 as
NPP 20. You know, so they're 27.
No, and also the UDP because it was part of the alliance. So they, at this moment, it also looks like the post-poll alliance.
That's right.
You know, would have in Meghalaya also as well.
I should just warn, there's a bit of a googly in the Tripura numbers, and I think Karthike mentioned this as well. It's 32, but it's -4 if you look at this, and it has something to do with the way the counting goes.
No, also I think it's got to do with the South Tripura, the tribal votes. It looks like Tripura has 5.
Tripura is interesting. They've got 5 up 5.
Yeah,
so just for the benefit of our viewers, if you take a look at at the Tripura, a party as it were, the Tripura Mota party. It's a new party. It's been floated by the former royal Pradyot Kishore Debbarma. The core demand is of a greater Tripura land. They came to the BJP and said that, are you actually going to consider this? The BJP had initially thought about building up some sort of a rapport with them, but ultimately they decided no, that they're not going to do that. Be that as it may, they've made a bit of a mark. They're at 6 right now, and obviously that tribal constituency has played its part. But in terms of the overall results, the BJP, is clearly ahead, and they say, and their alliance partners, the IPFT, would be interesting to see where the Indigenous Peoples Front of Tripura is actually in terms of its own performance.
You know, they are fighting 5 seats, so largely in the big scheme of things, as of now, it's just carrying on with the alliance. They are insignificant. There is 1 seat on which there is a friendly match between both the alliance partners as well, as far as Tripura is concerned. But Karthike, very quickly, if I may come to you once again, Nagaland, hardly anything to talk about. Interesting what is happening in Meghalaya and interesting what is happening in Tripura. In Meghalaya, it was a very bitter campaign between the alliance partners, BJP, NPP, calling each other names. Do you still think that, and Conrad Sangma would, even despite all this, he can take help of the TMC, he can bring the Congress together, maybe with UDP, he can turn the alliance as well.
It's not going to be easy necessarily for the BJP.
No, but
I don't.
Or do you believe that meeting between Himanta Biswa and Conrad
and Mukul Sangma getting into
despite that bitter campaign, it seems that Mr. Sangma would still prefer, and of course the party at the centre, that comes as a positive, it comes as a plus.
Ankit, if Meghalaya were a state west of West Bengal or west of West Bengal, I would have said NPP can go anywhere. But just the fact it's a northeastern state, we know the tendency is to ally with the central party.
Yes.
The BJP gets an edge for sure. But even as we speak, on the NDTV tracker, as you were showing, see, I was telling you, UDP +7. Congress, by the way, folks, I don't think will be very upset with that performance.
Yeah.
They have 7 seats. These are all greenhorn politicians, right? And the Trinamool 9. So it's essentially heading towards the same pattern as we had expected, with the NPP being the single largest
No, but Karthik, if you just look at it, NPP at 20, which is fairly strong by itself, the UDP who's with them is at 8, at 28. Just there, they are within striking range. even potentially without the BJP, right? There are
But
6 results awaited.
Vishnu, you know that won't happen, right? With 2 seats, the BJP played the role of Chanakya last time in cobbling the coalition.
Yes.
Now the BJP is more than half a dozen. I don't expect them to not be a part of government. I'm sure there'll be if these numbers hold.
Conrad Sangma negotiating from a position of strength, as opposed to being somewhat wary on Tuesday night when he met Himanta Biswa saying that, if things aren't working out, then let's start talking. I think that negotiating position would be somewhat different.
Vishnu, I'm not sure how strong a political wicket Conrad Sangma is on, because there are corruption charges against his party also. So there are things that BJP can also leverage within Meghalaya, which is what I'm saying, that within these regions there is a natural advantage to the central party, and I think given these numbers you can expect NPP to have its chief minister, and second, BJP will be a part of government. But with Tripura, sorry, Ankit. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that the larger point that you were making, given the recent political history, any fractured mandate gives BJP an upper hand, whether they are in any sort of position or not, with corruption charges and a lot of allegations of agencies being used. So in that sense, it becomes quite acceptable as far as the Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned to any ally in any state.
But Ankit, one more thing may I add? That there's also another angle of how these rounds are counted. So Tripura might seem at 6 right now, but it also depends on which sort of voters come to vote in the early round. As more rounds will be counted in these ST reserved seats, you might see a change in complexion. I think anything less than double digits for the Tripura Mota will be a disappointing outcome.
Absolutely, because Pradyut has been saying that he's expecting on those 20 seats, he's expecting more than 15, and overall he was saying that I expect a number around 20 at least. That was something that he has been saying in private.
Ankit, can I add one last point? I mean, I know you have too many guests, but the fact that the Trinamool Congress today is a party of imports from the Congress just tells you about the politics of the state. Who knows what might happen to the Trinamool Congress? So I think for Mamata Banerjee to be satisfied if the Trinamool Congress gets 9 or 10 seats will not be enough, because the challenge will be to retain these MPs for the next.
All right, Matthew had a point. Karthik, half a sec. Matthew had a point before we go across to Shillong for some live reports from there. Matthew, go ahead. Matthew Anthony,
Vishnu, the biggest joke is Amit Shah's campaign in Meghalaya was, if you're tired of corruption, vote for BJP. And now you see that BJP is talking with NPP for a government. And it was a...
but I think, Matthew, respectfully, the real story is not so much of the BJP, which seems to likely be far, come to power one way or the other with the NPP, but the story of the Congress, you are down 12. I mean, that is whopping in a state where in the past you've been so dominant now. The Trinamool is up at 9. There has been a direct transfer of support, it seems. Would you deny that that's been the case?
No, I'm not denying that Trinamool is making the benefit out of Congress laws. But at the same time, you should see that Congress is gaining also.
Okay, Matthew, we'll fix that line of yours. Ankit.
And very interestingly, and we'll talk about the larger opposition unity and what has been said about that, because we saw the similar kind of thing in Goa as well, where the votes were divided, Aam Aadmi Party, Congress, TMC, and the same situation, if you look at it in Meghalaya as well, the TMC and the Congress dividing largely the anti-government vote between themselves, because if it was, let's say, one unit, largely, and politics is not 1 + 1 = 2, but largely it would have been at least more than 15-16 seats as far as this is concerned. But Saurabh is in Shillong. Saurabh, very interesting election taking place there, though on the expected lines. Since 1972, if I'm not mistaken, there has always been a hung assembly. But advantage NPP, Conrad Sangma would already be thinking, or maybe already be calling people at this moment to figure out what to do next.
That's right. The NPP is pretty confident of forming government one way or the other and taking the lead in forming the government. And that, of course, confidence also comes from the fact that, look, there's already been meetings in Guwahati at that famous Radisson Blu Hotel with the Assam Chief Minister, Himanta Biswa Sarma, who's really the BJP's point person in the Northeast, the man to go to if the BJP has to consider an alliance forming a government in any of the northeastern states. So that is, of course, one part of it. But I was speaking to an NPP minister and MLA who just arrived at the counting center a short while ago, and he said, oh, well, we're getting 33. Now, of course, that is confidence. And I asked him, so are you talking to the BJP? And then, of course, he smiled. So the NPP-BJP deal is pretty much done, even though they formed an alliance and came to power and then went their separate ways before the elections. That alliance seems to be already a work in progress. And like you were saying, yes, Conrad Sangma would possibly already be making those calls or having these meetings, etc., to ensure that he remains Chief Minister of Meghalaya. But there is another player also, apart from the UDP and others. The Congress, of course, is also there, but the Meghalaya TMC, and the Meghalaya TMC is expecting to have seats in double digits. And if these leads play out, they are, I think, at 9 leads at this point. If these leads play out, if they are in double digits, around 13 to 14 or whatever that figure may be, then the Meghalaya TMC could also, look at possible permutations and combinations. And Abhishek Banerjee, the National General Secretary of the Trinamool Congress, is expected in Shillong by afternoon. So is Conrad Sangma, the sitting Chief Minister, and other, leaders of the Meghalaya parties, because that is really when the parleys will start, the talking to each other will start once they have the numbers in their hands, and that is around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So yes, the leads are coming in, but there already seems to be moves being made, but those moves will firm up once those results are more or less finalized, or there is a clear indication of who has the numbers in terms of the parties that are, now talking to each other already, as we've been told.
Saurabh, all right, Saurabh, we'll come back to you in a while. It's all turning out to be very interesting. I just want to turn our attention once again to Tripura. Now, in 2018, the BJP had won 36 seats, or 43.5% of votes, and the IPFT, their alliance partner, had won 8. Now, we don't have a complete breakup at this stage, but the alliance together is at 38, so well past the halfway mark, so that seems absolutely clear. But I think it would be interesting to see, of those 38, if the BJP itself has improved on its performance from last time around. In other words, has the IPFT declined as was widely expected to be the case? That's one thing that we need to look at. Has the BJP gotten stronger?
Yeah, but Vishnu, IPFT is only fighting 5 seats. So in that sense, they are fighting less number of seats what they did in the previous election. But, interestingly, this, as Karma was also pointing out...
They're also down 5, the alliance, from last time.
Yeah. So, but if, we still have Karma with us, as Karma was pointing out, that this is happening despite, and this is now a formula that the Bharatiya Janata Party uses state after state. Whenever there is a chief minister who has any hint of anti-incumbency or is unpopular, they change the chief minister just ahead of the elections to give somebody, it's a challenge for the newcomer, but it still gives people a hope that, they are trying to figure out how to move forward. Karma, in that sense, Dr. Manik Saha, if these results hold, does he still become the chief minister in, Tripura, or there is still a question mark? Because the last I spoke to him, he kept saying that this is something that the party would decide, but this is a strong performance if the BJP comes back to power.
We all know with the BJP, the question mark is till the end. Difficult to say. But from the interview that I saw of Manik Saha till yesterday, I saw a more confident man. When I interviewed him in a state, he didn't look like, a chief ministerial candidate. He didn't look so confident. But from the body language and the way he spoke yesterday, I think that there is a chance that the BJP will give him a second chance, looking at the incremental small changes that he made in his tenure as the chief minister and how the people have really liked what he's done. Small things, but impactful things like bringing down violence. Which was big in Tripura.
Very interesting. And also this Tripura election is going to be like whether Dr. Manik Saha comes back to power as the chief minister. It's the story about one Manik Sarkar, who ruled Tripura 20 years, this time has not fought the election because the left wanted to give chance to young faces. In a sense, Aarti, this would also be, curtains on his political career in that aspect. I mean, coming end of an era as far as the left is concerned, with one of their very tall leaders, a man who ended up with a bank account of 3,000-4,000 rupees in his account. He's somebody. I met him, and very grandfatherly, kind of a man who would speak
and very
to you.
Simple, very simple,
humble, exactly.
Yeah,
So it will be in that sense an end of an era in politics of Tripura and left parties as well.
Well, I think the era ended when he lost the elections last time. Frankly, because he had sort of run that state for so long. And once he was defeated, I mean, I think it was really,
I think what's fascinating is, and Aarti, why don't you talk us through this? If you look at Tripura, and we've got the breakup of the BJP and the IPFT finally. The BJP is at 39, that's up 3 from last time around when they had 36. And the IPFT, which had 8 seats last time, is at 0. So this is 100 on 100 for the BJP. This is a BJP government coming to power, most likely. I mean, we don't expect very many changes over here without any alliance partner.
Yeah, and IPFT is
zero. In fact, the IPFT has been going through terrible churning, I mean, its MLAs have left, they've crossed over to the Tripura Mota. I mean, what is left of the IPFT?
Congress is one in Tripura. It's just one.
I suspect this is going to be Sudip Roy Burman. I mean, he's the strongest candidate that the Congress party had. He was the lone candidate who came back after winning the by-election. So I suspect he's possibly going to be, I don't know which seat they are leading at.
I mean, this is hats off to the BJP because they have really consolidated themselves in the non-tribal areas of Tripura. Now, I think the really key thing to look at is how well the Tripura Mota does. What happens to the tribal vote? Because that is going to be a key challenge for the government.
It won't have a bearing on the outcome of the results. But they're at 6.
For governance.
They contested 42, I think.
For governance, if Tripura Mota really comes out as a major opposition figure, with its demand for a separate state or more autonomy, it's going to be a challenge for the new government in Tripura.
If Pradyut can stay course, he can build on from here. I mean, it's a great beginning for him.
And that demand, will have to be addressed.
Absolutely.
I don't think the government, the new government in Tripura
also started with that demand. IPFT with BJP started with that demand, and then they came together for greater autonomy and so on and so forth. But Ranjan, may I also, just propose another theory that the reason why the BJP is doing exceptionally well, because we saw such a huge campaign for indigenous people, tribal rights, a greater Tripura land, did it somewhere resulted in a counter polarization or consolidation of the Bengali speaking vote, the majority vote as far as Tripura is concerned? Because traditionally Tripura is not a place or a state which has seen religious polarization. It's a Hindu majority state, so BJP's usual tactics wouldn't have worked. So is there somewhere you can argue that possibly a counter consolidation to what Tripura Mota was suggesting in the state?
So I think there are a couple of things happening at once. I think there is a counter polarization. I think also you're seeing the left and the Congress dimming, and their seats would have also been the non-tribal seats. So if you think about in non-tribal seats, BJP versus either Congress or left competition, the BJP is more ahead than it used to be. I think the third thing, which is a very interesting change within Tripura's politics, is that, look, they have changed the chief minister. It is no longer personal. We were just talking about personality-driven politics everywhere in the northeast.
Not the case.
That is not the case in Tripura, right? Tripura is, it's now becoming party-driven politics. You can win votes on BJP. You can win votes on Modi, right? And so that is a huge change from a state in which we used to think of the CM from CPM and Manik Sarkar as being the face of the state.
Yes.
Manash, I just wanted to ask you, and Ankit was discussing this with us a little while. If you look at Nagaland, Christian majority state, it's one heck of a saffron wave. And I mean, it's part of what the BJP would like to do to identify itself as reaching out. And this is what Modi has spoken about. This is what the RSS chief has spoken about, reaching out to other religions. Don't begrudge people for another faith. The BJP's own performance in Nagaland, if these leads translate to results is that they're up 5 from last time around, and of course the NDTV is up 15. So they are coming to power quite clearly. So a greater acceptance of the BJP in states which are non-Hindu?
Yeah. If we see, Vishnu, BJP is able to explain and convince the people of Nagaland that BJP is not an anti-Christian or not like that party. So our party was able to convince the voters, and Honorable Prime Minister is able to connect to the voters of Nagaland. And the peace and development that had happened in last 9 years is the result of this. It's one of the parties that cultural, one of the is the development, and one is that BJP is able to convince the voters. That's the main thing. Our Honorable Home Minister have campaigned a lot. The Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, has campaigned a lot. And the present State President, Mr. Tamjen Imna Along, he is traveling wide across the Nagaland. He is connected to the youths of the state, and he has convinced this people.
It's very interesting, Vishnu, to look at, of course, the way the BJP changes tactics and their strategy.
No politics of religious conversion, which we'll talk about in Karnataka endlessly.
In Karnataka,
and over here, this will not be mentioned.
You will have cases in Madhya Pradesh. You will have attacks, there, but. And the most important thing, beef has become such an important thing to the BJP's larger, narrative when you talk about, especially in the Hindi-speaking states. But when they go to, let's say, Goa, or when they go to, in fact, Northeast, that completely takes a backseat. They will then come out and say,
Meghalaya BJP chief said, I eat beef.
I eat beef myself.
Yes,
exactly.
He was very proud about it.
So that's the changing tactics. And let me go across to Anthony. Actually, he wanted to make a point. Anthony, just because I have at this moment Tripura open on my dashboard, for the Congress, it's one lead that I can see. It's +1 to the Congress party. The alliance, and that was something that a lot of people were talking about, that the key challenge for the Congress is to try and get the voters back from the BJP, those who had gone to the BJP, and then transfer vote as far as this alliance is concerned. Left was still guaranteeing that it's a cadre-based party, they will be able to transfer their votes. Has the Congress or the alliance failed in that vote transfer scheme as far as at least the leads at this moment look like?
Too early to kind of say the final results, but at the same time, it seems like it has not worked. But as a political party, we have attempted, what we have to attempt with respect to an election, and let us see how it has the final outcome. Then we'll be able to make a qualified statement at that point of time. Now, I also want to come on that political emptiness of BJP when it comes to the northeast states. Because they sing hallelujah in Nagaland, and they have an anti-conversion in Karnataka. They have an issue with the conversion in Madhya Pradesh. They have an issue with beef across the country. So I want the viewers as well as the countrymen and people to understand the political emptiness of BJP. Election winning is a different thing. We have to respect the people's mandate.
But I think Matthew,
emptiness?
Respectfully, in as much as you make that larger point, I think questions would perhaps need to be asked more of the Congress party. If you look at your performance in Nagaland, if you look at your performance in Tripura, and if you look at your performance across the state, it's been fairly awful. You aren't opening your mark in some states. In the case of Tripura, the Congress is at 1 right now. I mean, that's shocking, isn't it? So in as much as you say, look, the hollowness of the BJP, in a state like Nagaland, Christian majority, where is the Congress?
You've not been effectively able to take that message to the voters. They're not buying the argument that you're putting across on television, and that's the result.
Why is it that Rahul Gandhi did not campaign a lot more? Why is it that you saw Amit Shah, Mr. Nadda, the Prime Minister go on and on and on and on? It's all very well to say that Rahul was doing Bharat Jodo. That's very great.
Yes.
Perhaps but what about elections? That's the bread and butter for political parties. The Northeast is where the Congress used to dominate. In a state like Meghalaya, you were a real force. Where are you now?
We had our Congress president campaigning in Nagaland.
Right, well, that's not really worked, has it? So, I think the criticism of the BJP can wait for another day. At this stage, I think the focus needs to shift progressively over the next few hours to the process of governance. Because that's what people want.
Election performance, we will reflect on it after we conclude the election results by evening. And then we will have to look into it. But at the same time, Rahul Gandhi was very clearly focusing on the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is a larger mission of 2024, and plus the future of this country also. Because you cannot discount the BJP's hold on is because they are blatantly lying to the people of this country. Whether they are doing a marketing, whether they are doing a reaching out to the people.
Well, perhaps
but
the Congress needs to look at marketing as well. You're down 14 in Meghalaya.
No, do you agree with the blatant lying? Do you agree with the blatant lying? Whatever you call it as marketing, whatever you call it as perception creation, the blatant lying of development.
Sir, in the end, the voters have to agree or disagree. They are the ones, those who are choosing to, give whatever result that they decide, or whosoever they want to trust their vote with. But Tushar Gupta, senior editor Swaraj, also with us. Tushar Gupta, at this moment, let me say, just almost 1 hour into the counting process, what is the big headline as far as the Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned? Are you looking at this with, a clear government in one state? And of course, a government where in Tripura you are forming, almost looks like you are forming on your own. And, as Niranjan was saying, kingmaker in one state for the Bharatiya Janata Party doesn't look like a bad start of the day.
Absolutely not. The momentum is with them. Tripura and Nagaland would be won before 10 a.m. in the next 1 hour itself. And Meghalaya, the alliance may come into being before noon itself. So we were hoping for a long day, because these are smaller states and exit polls can go wrong and the voting numbers can obviously change. But it looks like the momentum is with the BJP. But that one big news for me today would be, where do we see TMC as a national party ahead of the 2024 polls? Because Mamata Banerjee has been desperate to carve out a footprint out of West Bengal.
But Tushar, there's an answer to that. If you look at their performance in Meghalaya, they're up 10. There was 0 last time. They're at 10 seats. Is that not credible as a start in Meghalaya in the northeast? And going beyond Kolkata and West Bengal?
I take your point. But for a national election to be projected as the opposition's leader against Narendra Modi, of all people, 10 seats in Meghalaya, 10 leads in Meghalaya rather, would not really help in the first half. You have to come down with a heavy performance. You have to show that you are the challenger to Modi. And this has not happened for the second time after Goa. So I think after Kejriwal in Punjab, we have the debate settled on Mamata Banerjee as the national opposition leader to Narendra Modi. But for the BJP, it's momentum, more momentum going into 2024. They would be walking away smiling from this.
Aarti, would you agree? 10 I would suggest a fairly credible start for the Trinamool. Perhaps not enough to be considered as the dominant face of the opposition. So how would you assess the Trinamool? I mean, projecting forwards.
Well, listen. Of course, it's a great thing that Trinamool has got some kind of a footprint now beyond Bengal. But at the same time, this is not a vote for Mamata Banerjee or for Trinamool or for the Trinamool's politics, right?
Right.
I mean, they're basically riding on the back of Mukul Sangma, who is a dominant figure in the, Garo Hills, and on the back of all these Congress defectors who joined the TMC.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Mamata Banerjee can claim this as a feather in her cap. It's not an achievement for her or her party. So, as far as the national elections are concerned, look, today, if you look on a national scale, there's really nobody to challenge Narendra Modi. I think the attempt of the opposition would be to make this an aggregate of state elections rather than a national election, because they do not have a face to take on Narendra Modi.
Even if you aggregate the opposition results in the northeast, it's nothing substantive at all.
No, but also I think, Vishnu, for the opposition, possibly one lesson, of course, would be that you can't go into the fight of 2024 hoping or banking on a face to take on Narendra Modi. It will have to be a state-by-state kind of an arrangement where the stronger party takes on the BJP juggernaut. Possibly one lesson and possibly a early realization for Mr. Kharge as well, like he made the statement yesterday. We are not saying that we are going to lead. It is going to be, we'll talk about how the opposition can work together. So
just before that, he had said the Congress is going to lead.
Yeah.
So, somewhere the Congress needs to do a reality check.
True.
And understand that it is not the dominant party that it used to be. It is really fading fast. And these election results, more than showing the BJP's dominance, really showing the Congress's decline. Continuing decline,
I think the surprise is that the BJP...
One result in favor of the Congress in Nagaland, they contested in 23.
Yeah.
That incidentally is one up from where they were in 2018, but still it's pretty
Tripura
shocking.
as well. Last time they dropped to below 2% vote share, right? In some sense, we're talking about the left Congress alliance, but when you're bringing less than 2%,
in Congress last time there was 0.
So we're comparing it to the Bengal alliance, but in fact in Bengal in 2016 and so on and so forth, the Congress was bringing much more firepower to the alliance than Congress ever was in Tripura, right?
You know, one thing that I would be also very interesting, that I would look at, especially in Tripura, is the vote share that the left has been able to retain. Because we saw in 2018, it was a complete role reversal. Congress from over 42% came down to less than 1.5. BJP from 1.5 went up to 44. And left still held on. It was about 41% votes, if I'm not mistaken. If they are able to hold on to that vote, it will tell you it will at least give some hope to the left parties. If they are not able to, then the BJP not only has eaten away the Congress vote, it has also taken away the left vote as well.
They're down 2 seats.
The left only down 2 seats from last time, so it's holding pretty well.
It's holding
in terms of the overall vote share that they get.
Yeah. So just in terms of a quick summary of the Tripura situation, because I think it's the most fascinating, of all of these states, just in terms of the BJP itself, without the IPFT, which is its alliance partner, the BJP has grown by 3 seats. They've done very well last time around. Remember that magic mark, 30 is the halfway mark, 31 is what anybody needs to cross that halfway mark. The BJP is actually up 3 from last time. They were at 36 last time, so 39. They form the government on their own, no two ways about that, assuming these leads translate into results, which in most cases they do. The IPFP, their alliance partner, has declined substantially, and that's something that we need to look at, why exactly that has taken place. The Tripura is the other factor. In Tripura, they're up 6, so the erstwhile royals and the tribal vote having some sort of an impact. There will be a political player going forward. The left, the CPM, all things considered, not very bad compared to last time. It's just they're down 2, but nowhere close to coming back into a state where they were absolutely dominant. Congress performance absolutely disastrous. But I think with the point that Ankit makes, that the vote share of the CPM possibly would more or less be holding.
Yeah, and Vishnu, for Tripura Mota also, 6 seats is not something that Pradyut Burman is going to be very happy about.
Yes.
His performance and the way he campaigned.
Right?
Yeah, but more importantly, on those 20 tribal seats, he was hoping to sweep those 20 tribal seats, and that was the kind of response that he was getting from the ground as well. I think largely, it's too early, but I can stick my neck out and say we can call the Nagaland election. I don't see anything.
Okay, we've got Manik Saha. We've got a couple of reactions coming in. Manik Saha talking about what he's seeing so far. Let's take a look.
Joining us on this broadcast is Tripura's Chief Minister, Dr. Manik Saha. Dr. Saha, exit polls are predicting that your party is returning back to power. When we were, following your campaign, you were talking about tsunami. Now exit poll has given some numbers. Would you like to predict the numbers of the seat that you are going to win?
So far, yesterday we have seen the exit polls results, and we are expecting. And what I said earlier, that it may be recorded tsunami also. So it may happen, I'm sure. Because this government, BJP-led government, and by the grace of our Honorable Prime Minister, we have done a lot for the people. So, because we are a good student, so why not the result would be good? So, whole the year we have worked for the people, right from vaccination up to this Prime Minister Awas Yojana, then Prime Minister Kishan Samman Nidhi, and so on. So in every aspect, we are for the people, for the general people, for all classes of people. So why not we'll get the result.
मगर अगर आपकी सीट कम पड़ गई, किसी तरह से आपका जो मैजिक नंबर है उससे कम पड़ गया, तो क्या रणनीति है बीजेपी की?
सवाल ही नहीं उठता है, मैंने बता दिया, जो सुनामी होने का चांसेस है.
रिमोट चांस में त्रिपुरा मोथा को अप्रोच करेंगे?
नहीं, ये तो if you are talking about it, when it will come, then we'll let you know. Now it is not in our mind.
चुनाव के कुछ महीने पहले आप मुख्यमंत्री बने और आपकी लीडरशिप में जो त्रिपुरा बीजेपी है वो इस चुनाव में गई. आगे चल के आपकी लीडरशिप में ही आप सरकार बनेगी अगर सरकार आई?
देखिए, हमारे यहाँ लीडरशिप जब पार्टी जो भी डिसीजन देते हैं, जिनके ऊपर दायित्व दिया जाता है और सो फार माइन इज कंसर्न जितना काम अभी तक पार्टी की तरफ से दिया है तो मैं कोशिश किया उसको अच्छी तरह से निभाए। पृष्ठा प्रमुख इंचार्ज मुझे बनाया था, फिर बूथ मैनेजमेंट इंचार्ज बनाया था विधानसभा में 2018 में, फिर 19 में भी बनाया था, फिर मेंबरशिप ड्राइव उसके लिए भी इंचार्ज बनाया था, फिर प्रेसिडेंट भी बनाया, फिर राज्यसभा का सदस्य भी बनाया, फिर मुख्यमंत्री बनाया, फिर मुझे एमएलए के लिए लड़ना पड़ा, फिर से अभी मुख्यमंत्री होके लड़ना है।
What do you have to say to your opponents?
मैं क्या बताऊं, इनका तो देखिए कल दूसरा कुछ बोलेंगे इनका। वो हमेशा पहले तो एग्जिट पोल के बारे में नहीं बता रहे थे, पहले तो ये लोग बोल रहे थे पूरा ये लोग आ रहे हैं, खाली समय का ये है, खाली टाइम का इंतज़ार कर रहे थे। अब जैसे एग्जिट पोल आ गया, अभी एग्जिट पोल को उल्टा सीधा बोल रहे हैं, तो कल जब पूरा रिजल्ट निकलेगा फिर कुछ दूसरा कुछ बोलेंगे। तो इन लोग पहले ये सोचे, ये 5 साल ये लोग कौन सा काम किए? 5 साल तो कोई काम नहीं किए, खाली बोल रहे हैं यहाँ पर गणतंत्र नहीं है, गणतंत्र नहीं है। तो गणतंत्र नहीं है तब कैसे बोल पाए ये लोग?
So that was the incumbent chief minister, hoping by the evening he will still be the chief minister after the results of Tripura are formalized.
Doesn't seem very happy over there. The results would suggest otherwise. He's done fantastically well.
Yeah, but you never know with the BJP. I mean, they can change chief ministers and still get away with it. But let's also try and get a voice from the opposition as far as the state of Tripura is concerned. Jiten Chaudhary, the man who was hoping, if the results were in favor of the left and the Congress alliance, to be the face who would lead that alliance. He spoke to our colleague Ratnadeep just a short while back. Listen in.
Joining us now is the State General Secretary of the CPIM in Tripura, Mr. Jitendra Chaudhary, who has actually led the CPIM Left Front and Congress alliance in the Tripura election. Sir, the exit polls really perhaps doesn't give you much hope. In fact, the left Congress alliance in most of the exit poll is not doing well, particularly your partner party Congress. How do you see this situation?
Actually, that exit poll, what some of the institutions or channels, what they have published, it is not the actual scenario, actual post-poll scenario or pre-poll scenario of this election in Tripura. Actually, it has been associated to satisfy the ruling party, and very particularly after the 16th February, that polling defying all odds, defying all sort of the BJPs, their that is also their attempt to once again to manipulate the election. It was that is corrupt like anything by the people of the state, and of course ECI also has taken some positive initiative this time. So it has demoralized the BJP.
Has really the vote transfer between the Congress and the left front has taken place or not? That's the big question perhaps in the minds of many of your supporters as well.
Actually, it is not necessary. Of course, this time since left and Congress has forked in the seat adjustment, there is a added advantage created definitely. And also people, they are also brave to face, to counter all sort of the onslaughts which were perpetrated by the BJP, and people has voted. And if you go by the incidents took place, even there were in many places till 3 a.m., 4 a.m., there are attempts to terrorize their voters. हम लेफ्ट फ्रंट कंफर्टेबल मेजॉरिटी हम लाएंगे और कांग्रेस को भी अच्छा सीट मिलेंगे.
All right, well, let's go straight across now to Ratnadeep. He's been tracking all the developments in Tripura. A large crowd behind you. It seems that the BJP is going to be coming back to power over there. What's interesting is that if you take a look at the leads thus far, and again we need to mention that these are leads, a large number of these will be postal leads. The BJP is actually, the BJP and its ally, the IPFT, actually down 5 from last time, but the BJP as a party alone is up 3, and the reason the alliance is down 5 is because the IPFT has not opened its account so far as these leads are concerned. But I think that hardly matters given the performance of the BJP. Give us a sense of what's happening around you.
That's right. In fact, the early postal ballot leads gives a clear edge to the BJP, although IPFT has not been able to open its account. We are at Agartala. You can see there is already early celebrations at the BJP side of the counting center. You can see BJP supporters already celebrating here. We have a lot of women supporters of the BJP. We'd like to talk to you. Early जो ट्रेंड है पोस्टल बैलेट में, वह देख रहे हैं कि बीजेपी आगे चल रही है. आप लोग बहुत सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं. क्या ये सेलिब्रेशन बहुत जल्दी नहीं हो रहा है?
देखिए, एक तो बात यह है कि बैलेट बॉक्स का जो वोट है वो आप लोग भी जानते हैं, ये फंडा है. देखिए, सरकारी कर्मचारी जो है उन लोगों ने बीजेपी को खुल के वोट दिया. तो आप सोचिए, जो सरकारी कर्मचारी एक जन है उन्होंने वोट दिया, उनकी फैमिली में 5 जन होंगे, उन्होंने भी तो बीजेपी को वोट दिया ना. और इससे भी ज्यादा हम इसलिए खुश है, बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, प्रचार से ज्यादा काम किया. उन्होंने 2 रुपए का काम किया, 100 रुपए का प्रचार ऐसा नहीं किया. उन्होंने 100 रुपए का काम किया, प्रचार 1 पैसा पे भी नहीं वेस्ट किया. तो जनगण ने देखा है कि त्रिपुरा के लिए उन्होंने बहुत कुछ किया. महिला संरक्षण से लेकर शिक्षा के लिए बहुत कुछ उन्होंने किया. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए हम लोग जीतेंगे, वही हम लोग को पता है. और इसी के लिए ये जो भीड़ देख रहे हैं ना, ये पैसा दे के नहीं आए हैं, ये अपने इच्छा से आए हैं. ये भीड़ आपको पैसा दे के नहीं मिलेगा. ये जो है ये जनता का आशीर्वाद है. मोदी जी ने जो त्रिपुरा के लिए किया है, बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट ने जो त्रिपुरा के लिए किया है, उसी के फलस्वरूप हम लोग मोदी जी को ये त्रिपुरा स्टेट एज ए पद्म फूल गिफ्ट देने वाले हैं. बीजेपी
There you are, these supporters clearly saying that these early trends actually is something that they were expecting, and there is early celebration in the BJP camp. We have this gentleman. क्या नाम है आपका?
अभिक भट्टाचार्य.
और ये जो आप लोग हम देख रहे थे, आप लोग पटाखे फोड़ रहे हैं, नारे बजा रहे हैं, दे रहे हैं. तो ये जो सेलिब्रेशन है, ये अभी से पोस्टल बैलेट निकला है, क्या ये ट्रेंड चलता रहेगा?
ऐसे ही चलेगा. ये 100% श्योर है, बीजेपी आएगा, क्योंकि यहाँ पर जो अलायंस हुआ है, राहुल गांधी जी ने पहले ही समझ लिया, इसलिए उन्होंने या गांधी परिवार का कोई भी यहाँ पर आया नहीं है. ये 100% श्योर है, बीजेपी यहाँ पर आएगा.
So there you are, one of the BJP supporters flagging the fact that none from the Gandhi family of Congress campaigned here, and they claim that the top leadership of Congress understood that they're not going to win. You can see this celebration in the BJP camp here already. With
Celebrations there, Ratnadeep. Just a word of caution for our viewers. If you go, and we'll give you a breakup, at this moment of all the 39 leads that the Bharatiya Janata Party has, there is 38 leads are coming in because of the postal ballot leads, and 1 lead is because of round 1, which has started as far as the EVMs are concerned. So all these, largely these leads have come from the postal ballot. But interestingly, Vishnu, Congress and left, 12 leads from postal ballot, 3 leads are coming in from the EVMs, and for Tripura Mota, all the 6 leads are because of the postal ballot. So very, very interesting. In fact, so we'll have to possibly hold our horses for at least another hour before anything can be said conclusively.
21% of the votes are for the Congress and left in postal ballots. 68% for the BJP and the IPFT.
But if these are postal ballots, I think we should really,
absolutely, we should hold our horses for at least another hour.
But I didn't realize that they haven't yet started counting.
Before we go to Saurabh,
but they're very slow.
Before we go to Saurabh, who is joining us from the another exciting election of Meghalaya, which is taking place, 2 very interesting things which are coming in as far as the leads of Tripura are concerned. One, of course, from Dhanpur constituency, Pratima Bhaumik, the minister, tribal face of the Bharatiya Janata Party. She's a current minister in the Modi government. She is fighting Manik Sarkar's constituency, which was almost the most safe constituency as far as the left is concerned. If she wins that, it also tells you the story of how the left vote is shifting. And the other important highlight, at least at this moment, is from the Kaila Sahar constituency, Mubashir Ali. He is a Bharatiya Janata Party candidate, a Muslim candidate on a BJP ticket, is in the lead right now as far as Kailashar constituency is concerned in Tripura. Let's quickly go across to Saurabh, who is joining us from Shillong. Saurabh, postal leads at this moment would be giving a lot of hope to Conrad Sangma. What's the latest? Has the EVM opened? How many rounds?
Well, we're just waiting for an update on that. We were given to understand that EVM counting is about to begin. It could have begun. But also what we know is that, look, if you look at the leads right now, Conrad Sangma wouldn't be too unhappy with these figures. Look, the BJP is 10, which means it goes up by 8. And that would make the BJP also extremely happy, because that would only give them more bargaining power. And we know how important bargaining power is when there is a hung assembly. So 10 plus 22 takes the NPP BJP alliance past the majority mark. If these leads, and like you said, yes, these are very early leads, these are not results, that, you know, health warning has to be there. But if you look at these numbers, then TMC is leading in 10. This is also something that the TMC was hoping for, double digits. And double digits is, if they stay in double digits, that gives them an impact. You know, their national expansion plans, national party status, all of those things are in tune with their, you know, Meghalaya plans. And Abhishek Banerjee, the National General Secretary of the Trinamool Congress, is expected in Shillong this afternoon. Mukul Sangma, we are beginning to understand, is already in Shillong. He's also the senior, former chief minister who's led the TMC campaign in Meghalaya, the face of the Meghalaya TMC, while Abhishek Banerjee has managed this entire campaign. The TMC's National General Secretary in charge for these expansion plans of the TMC. So it's the Congress as far as the leads, of course, that seems down and out, 6 so far and others 3. So Conrad Sangma, if he gets around 25, he would clearly be in the Chief Minister's chair again. And remember that meeting with Himanta Biswa Sarma has already happened. Now, the BJP in Meghalaya was never going to be in a position to form its own government. That was out of the question always. What was the BJP's plan? The BJP's plan was to get to a figure of seats where it could call some of the shots. It could have a bigger say in government, and that role the BJP seems to have achieved in Meghalaya with its 10. Now, of course, the leads show 22 to NPP, TMC 11, BJP 9, 8 UDP and 6 Congress and 3 for others. So these leads are along predicted lines. The hung assembly in Meghalaya always happens. There are always post-poll alliances. These figures will actually give you, if they stay like this, then you're pretty sure which way the winds are blowing. Because remember that late night meeting between Conrad Sangma and Himanta Biswa Sarma, the Assam Chief Minister, who's really the BJP's point person in the Northeast, handles all these alliances, all these post-poll tie-ups and all the other nitty-gritties for the BJP. That meeting with Conrad has already happened, giving you an indication that the NPP has already opened its doors to the BJP. So clearly Meghalaya, very similar situation to what was happened earlier, and it seems like, at least as far as the leads are concerned, that Conrad and Himanta Biswa Sarma would be looking at striking a deal.
Leads coming thick and fast. Now postal leads also being converted and of course being added up with the EVM leads which are coming in. I also would at this moment like to welcome Mr. Ajay Bose for joining us in the studio. Thank you so much, sir, senior commentator. What I want to do, very quickly, just give you a sense of what we are picking up right now. What is the picture that is coming out, combining both the postal leads and the round leads at this moment. And let's talk about the state of Tripura. The Bharatiya Janata Party total leading on 36 leads for the BJP. 18 of those leads, out of those 36, the BJP is leading on the EVM round. So they have been able to convert out of the 36 postal plus EVM. They are leading on 18 others yet in the postal leads. The Congress and the left on 17. Tripura Mota is on 7. And very, very interestingly, when you take this to Meghalaya, interesting what is happening there. Initially in the postal leads, it seemed that the NPP was crossing over 20. It has come down. Now 18 leads for the NPP. TMC at 13. They have gone up. BJP at 9. That's largely all those leads are coming from the postal leads. UDP at 8. Congress at 7. And others at 4. And when you talk about Nagaland, Vishnu, the BJP-NDTV alliance, 48 leads at this moment. 8 of them, though, from the EVM, 40 from the postal leads, but largely seems to be suggesting that they are converting those leads in the EVMs as well, continuing those leads in the EVM. The NPF at 6, Congress at 1 at this moment, and 5 seats are going to others. So quite interesting, what is happening at this moment. And if you look at the larger picture, it once again tells you the BJP, at least at this moment, is over the majority mark in Tripura. It is over the majority mark. The alliance is over the majority mark also in Nagaland. But a very interesting picture is emerging in Meghalaya with NPP at 18 and significant gains for the BJP, which has 9 leads so far.
Yeah, so it's really going to boil down to Meghalaya in terms of it being a much closer contest than the other 2 states. So essentially what we are talking about are round leads, right, in electronic voting machines and also postal leads. And therefore, if we're talking about total leads, it's both those numbers which come together. Eventually, these will be further distilled. Rounds of voting, rounds of counting rather, will take place, and by about 12, or it seems that it might be a little later than 12 at this stage, we should get a clearer idea. My colleague Vedant joins us now. Vedant, give us an idea of this very interesting situation developing where you are, Meghalaya.
Well, Vishnu, I come to you from outside the Chief Minister's residence in Kohima in Nagaland, and let me tell you, all the major party leaders of the NDTV, the National Democratic Progressive Party, have started coming to the Chief Minister's residence. In fact, leaders from their constituencies have also started arriving here at the Chief Minister's residence. Meanwhile, as far as the BJP is concerned, remember, the Nalin Kohli, the Nagaland in charge for the BJP, has also arrived in Dimapur, which is where all the tall BJP leaders are going to be. In fact, the state BJP chief, Temje Memna Along, he has also started from his constituency and he will be at Dimapur as well. So the NDTV and the BJP have already started conducting internal meetings, and we're expecting, as per sources, that by around 2 o'clock and a formal announcement, a joint announcement will also be made proclaiming Chief Minister Nephew Rio as, the Chief Minister of the NDTV BJP alliance. Remember, it will be his 5th term if the alliance does manage to win. As far as the leads that are coming in right now, of course, you mentioned all the leads, but let me also tell you that the BJP is leading in 11 out of the 20 seats on which it has fielded candidates. Now, that is also important. The alliance is, of course, leading on 47 seats, but the BJP in itself is leading in 11 out of the 20 seats on which it has fielded candidates. So that is important, and the BJP, very interestingly, Vishnu, has already started planning its evening celebrations at the headquarters in Dimapur, which is where all the tall leaders of the BJP will start arriving, and Chief Minister Nephew Rio is looking at the 5th term as Chief Minister.
All right, Vedant joining us there from Kohima, Nagaland. Thanks very much for being with us. Ankit, if you look at the postal leads and the round leads,
yes,
then they more or less seem to be postal leads. The trends in the postal leads more or less seem to be translating into round leads as well. As far as Nagaland and Tripura are concerned, it seems quite clear that the BJP and its allies will come to power. The story, I think, is Meghalaya, which is developing now. The round leads for the NPP not quite keeping up with the postal leads which we've seen so far. Nilanjan, any thoughts on that?
Lucky, now I'm looking at them again, and it looks like it's jumping around a lot. Now I'm looking at the round leads plus postal leads, and we're up to about 23 again for NPP. But the one thing that does seem to be happening is that the TMC is pushing a little more ahead as we count the rounds.
Yeah.
And I think
postal plus round, they're up to 11.
They're up to 11.
That's interesting.
And I think, it will take a while for this to firm up because you have so many parties and so much vote splitting and so much, the winning margins are less, the winning vote shares are less at the constituency level. I think what I would suggest for people who are sort of looking at this at home, a sanity check, one of my standard tricks is to wait until about 11:30 and see. The Election Commission is unfortunately very slow today, much slower than usual. Look at the vote shares, because often the vote shares start giving you a sense of where things are going to go. because in these early counting rounds, you get a lot of jumping in the number of seats.
Okay.
And in a place like Meghalaya, unfortunately, a small number of seats is going to have a huge impact in terms of how we interpret it.
But yeah, and largely these leads for the TMC, of course, Sangma versus Sangma battle, largely the leads are coming from the Tura region, where we are seeing the TMC, in fact, gaining as well. But Amitabh Tiwari, political strategist, commentator, also with us. Let's also welcome Bobita Sharma of the Congress party, as I introduced earlier. Ajay Bose also with us. Mr. Tiwari, if I can come to you, what are the broad strokes, the broad messaging that you are seeing at this moment, though it might be slightly slow in that sense, because we are expecting that, smaller constituencies, less number of voters, the results would start coming in quite quickly. But at this moment, if I just stay with Meghalaya, despite the TMC gaining or leading in a significant amount of seats, it's not a bad debut as far as the TMC is concerned. But the fact remains, even at this moment, the pre-poll alliance seems to be still going over the 31 mark. Is that now something that already talks would have begun behind doors?
Yeah, I think the Meghalaya is living up to its expectation of a hung assembly. And the not so secret talks are already out. So it seems that the BJP and the UDP have strategically decided to contest, not as alliance partners. So what they have done is probably they have crowded out the opposition. If you see, BJP is gaining, and I think UDP is also gaining a seat or two, and the amount of seats which others had won in 2018 in Meghalaya is coming down significantly. Yes. On the aspect of TMC and Congress, while TMC is doing well, it is not doing, I would say, rather very well, because Congress is still holding on to some vote share. I think 11 to 12% if you see the ECI website, which was not very bad, considering the fact that almost the entire party and its ex-chief minister has moved towards the TMC. So this is a very important election for TMC. For its national ambitions, it needs to win here or emerge as the main opposition party to keep its national ambitions alive.
Ajoy, if you take a look at the postal vote percentage, it's significant. When you're talking about Meghalaya, 43 or 59, of this 73% are postal votes. That's where we are still at this, it's 9:48 a.m. Nagaland, 68% are postal votes is what we are talking about. And 47% are postal votes in Tripura. So Tripura, the round leads are now overtaking the postal leads. The BJP doing dominant in Tripura. But just as a rider and a warning to our viewers, what is the concern over postal votes, and do they necessarily translate into round leads?
Well, they don't often, but at the same time, if I look at the picture, I mean, we know in NDTV how, long ago in Bihar went completely wrong because it completely turned around. That, of course, was some moons ago. But what I see the picture, even if the postal vote dominates over the EVM votes at this stage, I personally feel that sort of Tripura and Nagaland, the story is clear. Even in Meghalaya, we are looking most probably at a regime change, meaning in the sense that the BJP will not be coming to power. I don't think so. Because if you look at the Meghalaya TMC plus NPP plus, because NPP is no longer a part of the BJP.
No, are you suggesting the NPP and the TMC come together?
Could be.
But there has been a traditional rivalry. I mean, Conrad Sangma, Mukul Sangma, both of them coming together possibly would be highly, I mean, it will be uncomfortable kind of an alliance rather than an alliance which already has existed and run 5 years.
But BJP is not a part of the NPP alliance.
No, it's not. So they both this alliance, all of them fought separately. And they went, and this is not something which has happened for the first time in Meghalaya. We have seen earlier as well, during the election. And Conrad Sangma has been saying that, this happened, but you can't keep the doors closed. Things will change. Don't you think it is very strategic as far as this ruling alliance was concerned? They not only have they crowded the anti-government vote. They have been able to split the vote, not just the TMC and the Congress, but also between the BJP and the UDP, because BJP went on an overdrive to attack the Chief Minister.
Yeah, I mean, that is the point. Having done that, it would be a little odd to actually join hands with him, because the Chief Minister would require numbers.
Yeah.
Certainly.
If you just take a look at the overall position and postal leads and round leads, just for a moment, let's look at the leads position. The NPP and the UDP, let's talk a lot about them.
Yes,
are at 29. So they are within striking range as it is without the BJP. So Nilanjan, again, I'll ask you a question which I think we discussed a little while earlier on. Can the BJP take for granted that they are going to be back in the government? Or do you believe what Ajay says, that the BJP may be on a pretty weak wicket unless there is some major post-electoral alliance agreement that Sangma meeting translates into something? Why does the NPP necessarily have to go with the BJP?
And the Congress has 6, mind you.
Yeah. The Congress has postal leads. Okay, I've got 4 on my machine, but it may well go up to 6.
On the screen.
So I mean, look, I think mathematically, yes, a lot of things are possible. I think realistically, the BJP is going to be forming the government in post-poll negotiation.
Champions is what they're, right?
Yeah, because look, I mean, we know that this is a state in which defection and floor crossing is common. We know that the BJP has the heft of the state behind it, and we know that historically parties in the Northeast want to keep a reasonable equation with the center.
Yeah.
I think it would be very unlikely that NPP, which looks at a minimum to be definitely going in government, even if it doesn't cross the single party majority mark by itself, I think it's very unlikely the NPP is going to first join with TMC because of historical rivalries, but secondly try to anger the BJP, given that it needs to ensure smooth running within its state.
And Vishnu, also, like we keep on saying, there are cases against Conrad Sangma, corruption allegations, put all those things in the bigger picture, and you would know that it will be very, very difficult for any political party, a small regional political party in a state like Meghalaya, to possibly, Nilanjan is saying, to anger the central government. And then it is a state right next to Shillong, is just few hours drive from Guwahati. Hemant Biswa Sarma has literally been camping there. He's the man who's running the show as far as the Northeast Alliance of the BJP is concerned. So at this moment, at least it looks highly unlikely that there is going to be a switch. But, Babita Sharma, you've been quite patient. I just want to understand from you, and just because since we are talking about Meghalaya, for the Congress party, is it a consolation that all your members went to different political parties? The TMC practically is the Congress, but you had to pitch, or you have to put up fresh candidates, first-timers. You are at this moment leading on 6. It's not like completely being decimated out of the scenario. Or is the Congress party, was it hoping that it, like Rahul Gandhi came for one single rally, attacked only TMC, it was hoping that it would be able to consolidate the anti-BJP or the anti-government vote more constructively than it has been able to?
Well, Meghalaya was definitely a challenge because of the exodus of the Congress leaders, but we still had many senior leaders with us, and we also, as you had already said, projected young and confident young candidates, especially women and young professionals. And I think that Congress will move on to double digit. It is still, the whole day is still left. And I think that Congress will make a mark in Meghalaya. And coming back to NPP and BJP, I was watching and listening. As you have seen, even the Prime Minister had castigated the government in power while they were in alliance as well. Although they didn't have a pre-poll alliance, they were in alliance in the last 5 years. And if they go to and have a post-poll alliance now, at what phase they will have that alliance? That is what I want to ask the people.
The phase of convenience.
Exactly. Phase of convenience. Is that what you want?
It's up to them to decide.
Or also it will be the same sort of an equation that you have with the left in Tripura.
Left, we had a pre-poll alliance.
Yeah, but it's an equation of
we had an alliance
of convenience, right?
Here,
because you didn't have a choice.
We did not have an alliance. They did not have an alliance. They said the government is corrupt. Mr. Modi said the government is corrupt, which they had having 2 cabinet ministers at the same time. They said that the government was corrupt. So with what face they will have an alliance and form a government there? That is what I want to ask.
I just want to go across to Amitabh and to ask him this question on, if Amitabh, if you look at the Meghalaya situation, why should we discount the Trinamool Congress as a potential kingmaker? Because if you look at postal leads and rounds, the Trinamool 8 post, they're at 10. That means they're equal at this stage to where the BJP is, well short of the NPP at 23. But then if you look at the UDP, which will likely go with the NPP, why along with the TMC, possibly even the Congress, which with postal leads and round leads is at 6, you can statistically do away with the BJP? Or is that a political harakiri for the NPP and Conrad Sangma, since all of these parties want to be closely affiliated or associated with the centre for reasons of governance besides anything else?
Yeah, so there are 2-3 angles to it. As you mentioned, NPP may not want to be in the bad books of BJP, but NPP in a long term is also aware, or rather has to be beware of Operation Shiv Sena. So there are 2 conflicting things which keep on happening. And I would turn around on your question and say that it is for the BJP probably to decide whether it wants to install Conrad Sangma as the chief minister, or it wants to go with anybody else like BJP plus UDP plus TMC plus Congress, because here individuals matter, parties do not matter. We've seen in Nagaland almost the entire faction of NPF joining NDTV. We've seen in Meghalaya almost the entire Congress party joining TMC. So it's a very tricky situation, and Conrad Sangma has to balance both these things, the short-term aspect as well as the long-term aspect, because BJP clearly has ambitions to establish itself as its own in the Northeast, and it will leave no stone unturned to do that in the next 5.
That's quite an interesting hypothesis, and that is something that, you know, possibly keeps the regional parties or the smaller parties on their toes when it comes to the BJP. Let's just shift our focus a little bit on Tripura, because Vishnu, very interestingly, the BJP, which was running away with those leads, it has come down to 32. Most interesting is Tripura Mota, which was in the postal ballot at 5-6, now at 11. That is exactly...
Round ballots at 10.
At 10. That is
That's
exactly
10 plus
what...
1, 11.
What
so
we
they
were
are a
talking
factor,
about.
bottom line.
So
that's absolutely
on the
clear.
20 seats, that very significant 20 tribal seats where Pradyut Burman was hoping that he would have a clean sweep, at least it looks like at this moment he's making significant lead, and that is what tells you the story of this election. BJP down from the initial trends to 32 right now. Congress left at 16. Tripura Mota is gaining on 11, though the BJP is still over the majority mark at this moment.
Also, another important point, in as much as we've been warning our viewers that a large number of what we are seeing percentage are postal votes. The percentage of postal votes in Tripura compared to Nagaland and Meghalaya is considerably lower.
Yes.
We're only looking at 20%
exactly.
of, right? So this is now heading towards a result situation. And in that, at the moment, again, postal leads plus round leads, the BJP alone above the majority mark at 32 at this stage, of which just in terms of round leads, they're at 25. In other words, they're well within striking range.
Now down to 30.
You know, so this is going to be, now they're down to 30. Actually, they're down.
So now no longer single party.
So at this moment, Tripura also not as done deal as it was looking just about an hour back, and exactly why we will have to wait.
So it went down from 32 to 30 in the last 10 seconds. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Okay. No, but and I want to, in fact, that's quite interesting. And if I can get you, Mr. Bose, on this for Tripura Mota at this moment, which was being seen as an X factor as far as the Tripura election is concerned, that X factor is at this moment living up to the hype. The pre-poll hype. It is converting almost 11 seats. If these seats get converted in the tribal areas where both the left and the BJP were hoping to do well, Pradyut Burman is running away with the most leads.
Indeed. And I think that what is very interesting is, and this is, we were hearing stories about this although I didn't go to Tripura myself, but I kept on getting reports that the tribals are not particularly happy with the BJP. And the tribals, having got a leader, you know, of their own, as almost like a tribal party. And I think this is what is really interesting in India, because you keep on having these new parties coming up with new identities, and they basically have a special appeal. And there is no question now, we are seeing evidence of that. Now, if this trend firms up, then I think the BJP is in a little bit of trouble, because if the tribal vote of the BJP, which last time helped it so much to make that very significant gain in the northeast, in Tripura, taking away from Manik Sarkar's long-standing government, I think it means that things are still, on the melting pot in Tripura. We can't really make an accurate prediction at this stage.
You know what's interesting is that, Ankit, if you look at Tipra Mota, it's all round leads.
Absolutely.
So it's very substantive.
So basically, when EVM started opening up, their candidates seem to be gaining a lot more than anybody
11
else.
round leads and a total of 12, just one postal lead. So look, they are a big factor in this.
Absolutely. And Mr. Tiwari, if I can bring you in at this moment, the BJP's entire pitch, and we've seen how aggressive the Bharatiya Janata Party has been with respect to the whole, we are a party of the tribals. The Prime Minister in every speech will remind the voters that, look, this is the party which has given you the first tribal president. On the day Tripura was voting, Prime Minister inaugurated the Adi Mahotsav. If all that is not working, is there an indication somewhere to in fact recalibrate as far as trying to woo the tribal voters is concerned, sir?
See, in Tripura, one basic number is BJP and IFT won 17 of the 20 ST reserved seats in 2018.
18 in fact, sir.
18. And here we are seeing on the screen 12 Tripura is winning. So whatever Tripura wins is a direct loss to the BJP. And then BJP perhaps has to make gains at the expense of Congress and left is also almost able to maintain its hold. Herein where the tricky part comes, because I was just looking at the vote share for BJP and IPFT is down by around 9% compared to 2018.
The IPFT is proving to be a real problem for the BJP at this stage.
Because it won 7 seats, I think, or 8 seats rather.
8 seats. 8 IPFT, 10 BJP,
8 seats. So, of course, making a tribal president helps BJP, but this is a very peculiar situation wherein the tribals owe allegiance to the king and they have a greater demand of a greater Tripura land, as they call, and it seems here that the tribals are completely backing the king, and then it's up to him to take a call on who he goes along with in case of a hung assembly situation.